What's going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Good to have you here. I won't be showing the Donald Trump mugshot. You know, maybe it's because I've been overseas several times. And although I'm not a fan of England or the Brits, it's nothing personal. It's just a long history of us versus them mentality, and the relationship hasn't been as strong since Margaret Thatcher died. But I will tell you that there is one thing that they do very well besides a wonderful spot of tea. They protect people who are accused of crimes. They cover their heads with a jacket. They will use some sort of device to blur them out in court, whether that be a partition or by digital means. And they do whatever they can to protect the innocent. And let's face it, that's the truth. The days of assigning blame to somebody and throwing them in prison for eternity, whether it be the man in the iron mask and the Chateau d'If, when it comes to the Count of Monte Cristo, or it comes to political prisoners, or it comes to governments using people as pawns, should be over. It's not. We see it in Saudi Arabia. We've seen it in Russia. We've seen it in plenty of different countries, China, North Korea. But we're supposed to set ourselves apart from those countries. Now, I want to be completely clear. Donald Trump is someone I voted for. Not in 2016, but 2020. I like Donald Trump's policy. I like his results. And at times, he is a little too much for me to handle. I think he's arrogant. I think he's pompous. And we have that in common. But I also think that he doesn't know how to celebrate and discuss his success in an effective way. And I believe if he did, his presidency would resemble very much what it looked like right before COVID, where his popularity was 49%, and he was doing very well with everything in the economy, the world stage, and even his response to COVID at first was very, very high at 73%. But something switched and something changed. And I believe the election changed Donald Trump. And if he truly did believe that it was stolen, I could see how that could change a person's disposition. Instead of playing a coy game with the media of Fox and the Hound, it literally became a game of life or death. If Donald Trump has broken the law, he should pay the price. Just like anyone who breaks the law should pay the price. But until that day, that judgment comes, and not from the Almighty, but from justice herself, blind justice, he's innocent in all facets, in every way, shape, or form. The unalienable rights of every citizen is the individual right of innocence until proven guilty. I think everyone should lament, because we did when Richard Nixon fell prey to this by his own actions, his own volition. Bill Clinton, when he decided to have a cigar and a nightcap with a particular blue-dressed woman named Monica Lewinsky. And Donald Trump certainly has been run through the ringer with 91 some odd indictments, 2.5 impeachments, investigation after investigation, special counsels, and now every single Democrat DA, it seems, in the country wants to take a bite. I'm all for it. And I think if you are honest and virtue is on your side, then you should be impervious to all these attacks. However, it is a little apropos, especially on the Democrats' side, when it comes to the timing of these. investigations and indictments and overall trials. This will ensure that Donald Trump is running a race with one leg or having a ass-kicking contest with both legs tied together. And the reason why is because the amount of strain and responsibility that it will take to be present for these criminal trials, which he has to be present for versus civil. That's why he wasn't at E. Jean Carroll's. And it won't be just an affidavit. He will have to take the stand if he wants to exonerate himself by his own words or at least be present through the processes. This is the new strategy from the Democrats. It's not about justice. They could have done that 3.5 years ago. Georgia could have made a case a long time ago. So could have New York. But this is the game that's played. We're using the courts versus trash campaigns or calling people homophobic or racist or talking about their extramarital affairs or anything else other than the merit of the character, which is what Martin Luther King talked about. We are now using political intimidation and the criminal justice system to let everyone know that if you step out of line, you will be held accountable through the court of law, whether you're guilty or not. Because just the sign of impropriety can do enough damage. But I'm here to give you a cautious tale. I'm here to talk about Richard Nixon, that it backfired. Richard Nixon's popularity went up with the American public. They felt that he was attacked, that it was a witch hunt, that he was a scapegoat, and overall that there was political motivation for his impeachment. Now, Republicans and Democrats alike went after Nixon, but that was the public's opinion, and I believe they were wrong. Richard Nixon most assuredly was guilty, and he deserved what he got, which was a pardon, after all, by Ford. Bill Clinton had extramarital affairs, but let's face it, so did Kennedy, and so did several presidents. And although the Kenneth Starr special counsel against Clinton, I don't think necessarily needed to take place, I also don't think that Bill Clinton needed to be as aloof as he was, arrogant as he was, with showing no signs of contrition. Yet he rose in the polls, and people felt like it was a political attack by Republicans. This is no different. The two impeachments of Donald Trump, you saw his numbers go up. And these trials are also having a resounding, solidifying effect on his base and the American people. Interestingly enough, especially African Americans who are starting to say, well, this criminal justice system we find unfair certainly has always benefited white men. But it's interesting that Donald Trump, who we heard about in rap songs and we heard about from Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, as a prolific member of society and somebody who truly was a benefit to African American people, all of a sudden when he ran for president is a racist. And I think people are putting two and two together, Ice Cube being one of them. And several rap stars have come out and said that I may not love him, but I don't necessarily buy the narrative. And now when you take a people like the African American people who have seen imbalanced sentencing based on the color of their skin or the preferential drug of choice and the variance between methamphetamine convictions and crack cocaine convictions might be feeling that the justice system, once again, is afoot. This will not have the effect that the Democrats want. I can tell you that. I will tell the Democrats that they had everything they wanted going into 2024. Joe Biden barely getting by, but Donald Trump being someone that the American people were not willing to put in, that they'd done a fairly good job of neutering Donald Trump, at least in the public opinion. But now it's a bridge too far. Not only have you excited his base and solidified Christians, gun owners, parents, but what you're doing is you're bringing other parameters of voting demographics into the fold who are aligning with Trump because it's simply too neat. It's too perfect. The timing, the amount of indictments, The rapidity of this, how fast this is going, is incredible. How quickly they want to get these trials out of the way is also incredible. And honestly, if you talk to most Democrats behind the scenes, and these are the people who are in front of the cameras and the elected officials, will tell you that they were divided on this, especially Nancy Pelosi, who understood exactly what I'm saying. She's a lot of things, but stupid isn't one of them. It's backfired. You can't take political prisoners. You can't throw the criminal justice system at people without them seeing what's happening. Martin Luther King is a great example. Now, is Donald Trump Martin Luther King? No. But he is somebody to a group of people. And he may not be that way to African Americans, but he certainly is to the middle class, at least conservative middle class. The people in the red states, the flyover states, the uneducated party, you know, the ones you guys talk about and call Nazis. He may just very well be the Martin Luther King to those group of people who were forgotten America. And although the hardships that they have endured certainly are not what African Americans went in and went through. But remember, this is based on perspective. Gandhi, someone who was put in jail. Now, Donald Trump certainly isn't Gandhi. In fact, he was a pacifist and also starved himself in order to prove a point with hunger strikes. Donald Trump couldn't do that. We saw that his record of how tall he was, 6'3" and 215 pounds. I'm telling you, I'm 6'4" and I'm 225 and I'm fairly fit. And there's no frickin' way that Donald Trump weighs that much. He weighs a hell of a lot more, but does it matter? And although it'll give us a quick laugh, it really doesn't mean anything. But he's certainly not Gandhi. Nelson Mandela was a communist and part of the South African Communist Party early in his life. Later in his life, he started to reject the state since the same party imprisoned him and shunned his works and censored him. And although Mandela was always a communist, and I don't appreciate any of his views, I certainly can understand why you should never jail political opposition. Rosa Parks, not political, but did something profound when she decided to say no more and stood up for herself and was thrown in prison. This photograph is iconic, and it's all over everywhere across the United States. And she is a celebrated figure throughout history for her courage. When you try to shove people down into the gutters and the sewers and have them take refuge in the refuse, usually it has the opposite effect. When you take a look at the movie Shawshank Redemption, Red said it best. He crawled through a river of shit and came out clean on the other side. And this is what's happened throughout history to people who have been censored, who have been silenced. Donald Trump is none of these people. In fact, he's his own man. And I will tell you that he has every right to question the election, even though I've challenged him every night for 2.5 years about how I think his challenging the stolen election was the wrong way to go about it. Constitutionality, that's another episode, another conversation. I'd be happy to have it with you. Just simply come on my live show and we can talk about it. But he has the right to say it. He has the right to challenge whatever he wants. That's freedom of speech. And if you would like to tell me that Democrats don't do the same thing, the video that's been playing for the last 10 minutes are all the times that Democrats talked about a stolen election, whether it be 2000 or 2016, 2018 or 2020 with Stacey Abrams. If you're going to take a mugshot of Donald Trump, you might as well take a mugshot of Barack Obama, who also 52 times talked about the election of Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton, that it was stolen, that it wasn't valid, that there was Russian collusion and Russian interference in the election. And if you're going to take a picture of Mr. Obama, you're going to have to take it of Mr. Clinton. Sorry, Mrs. Clinton. Hillary Clinton still believes the election was stolen. She's blamed it on men. She's blamed it on white men. She's blamed it on women who are weak. She's blamed it on African Americans. She's blamed it on everyone but herself that she was unelectable. But most importantly, she said the same thing about stolen elections and Russian interference and how it was an illegitimate election, yet she does not have a mugshot. You can go to Stacey Abrams, who said it multiple times in 16, 18, and 20 on her Twitter account, talking about how she won her race. She was the true governor of Georgia, and that it was stolen from her by white men. You can take a look at Chuck Schumer, who stood on the Senate floor and recited the same words as everyone else and said that it was an illegitimate election and Donald Trump was not the president. You can take a look at Al Gore himself, Mr. Hanging Chad, who gracefully on the Senate floor banged the gavel and silenced anyone on his side who were trying to say that the election was stolen. But once he was out of office, he continued to recant his good-fairedness by saying that it was stolen and that he did win Florida and he should have been the president of the United States. Jimmy Carter, who is a man I don't want to knock on his door. He is under ill health and doesn't have much longer on this mortal coil. And although I disagree with everything that he did as president, I also disagree with him that he said that the election was illegitimate and stolen. What they don't seem to understand is that when you go ahead and take a mugshot of the president of the United States, who people do care about, and there are tens of millions of people who truly care about Donald Trump, and I happen to be one of them. And it's not because of his policies. It's not because of his disposition or even his warm, affable nature towards everyone he disagrees with. It comes down to this. He is a man who is innocent until proven guilty. That is a cornerstone of American ideology. The unalienable rights of every individual trumps any bloodlust that people may have, any slaking for lust to see this man dethroned, to belittled, to being in an orange jumpsuit or behind bars, because dare I say that if they can do it to him, they can do it to you. When the shoe is on the other foot and Republicans regain power, and they will, whether that's 2024, 2032, or beyond, the chickens will come home to roost. And Republicans will just be as petulant and myopic as Democrats are being. And they will investigate Biden. And they will throw every single charge at him. And Republican DAs will go ahead and investigate every single piece of Joe Biden's legacy. I warn you that this is not where the United States needs to go. What usually happens after this are people who wind up disappearing at the end of the night. Blackouts on access to phones, loved ones, letters, maybe certain teachings, maybe certain religions, businesses owned by a certain type of people, stars put up, specifically gold ones above their businesses, feces and glass being thrown at them as they go to the cheapest and slummiest parts of town. And an entire group of people will blame them for everything. And you'll have 1940 all over again. This is not the United States. We talk about Vladimir Putin, how he is innately evil, and he is somebody who we need to project our ire on. And I happen to agree. I think Putin is a complete stooge. This is something he does. He jails the media. He assassinates people who disagree with him. He is a tyrannical leader. And this doesn't stop with Putin. The United States is better, or at least we're supposed to be. Because if you go back through England's history, this is what they used to do to people they disagreed with. And if the Brits can figure out that this is wrong, God save the Queen, and may God bless America, because she's in trouble. Folks, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show tonight. I do appreciate it. You can do me one more solid. Go to thedumshow.com and go get yourself a shirt, a hat, whatever. Support the show if you would not mind. I am not posting Trump's picture. I am not going to profit. I am not going to make a dime off of it. A lot of conservatives are. In fact, every single one of them. And I am a graphic designer. I could have had the shirt ready to go. And when I started to design it, I simply said, this isn't right. If this was Joe Biden, I don't know if I would make a shirt. I truly believe, to the bottom of my feet, to the top of my head, that this is wrong. Now, the last thing, lock her up was said, and people rejoiced when Donald Trump said it. He never went after Hillary Clinton. He never investigated her. He never did any of those things. In a debate, that's one thing. Doing it to the nth degree, doing it ad nauseum until finally something sticks, it's not the same thing. And you know that. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me Show, folks. I will see you next time. Matthew Spear is my name. Kicking ass and chewing bubblegum is my game. And I am all out of gum. I will see you next time. Good night.
I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets.
We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important, you are important.
For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call